That's Eric Swalwell, Fang Fang's boyfriend, and he's no good. Could he actually become the next governor of California? California is a great, big, prestigious state. To a punk like him, is it possible? Well, we had something going good. Thanks to Joel Gilbert, he figured out that he's ineligible to be governor because he doesn't live in California. And he made his case in court. It looks to me like they shirked their responsibilities, but he'll tell us exactly what happened. Joel Gilbert, welcome back. So take us through it. We're not going to get judicial relief, it sounds like, right?
It looks like not. He declared his Washington, D.C. residence as his primary principal residence on his mortgage documents. And then when he ran for governor in California, he told on his candidate statement, he said his home address was his lawyer's address. So I did sue him in court, tried to get the Secretary of State to not certify him to run for governor. And it all went down very quickly. This past Monday, I had this Judge Chang. She had a big attitude. She said because of a congressional law in California, 2026, says if you run for Congress, you don't have to give an address. And that's why she let him slide. And she ignored the California Constitution, which has very strict residency rules of 5 years for a governor candidate. I appealed to the Appeals Court, 3rd District. 4 hours later, they turned me down. I appealed to the California Supreme Court. They took 2 days, and they also denied it. Now, the interesting thing is I forced Swalwell to submit a declaration in this case to the court swearing that he lived in California without giving an address, of course. But in doing so, I think he exposed himself to mortgage fraud charges in Washington, D.C., because you can't have two principal residences. So that might be something that comes out of it. I also found out in researching him that he had paid his child care expenses for 5 years, over $300,000 to his campaign, when you're only allowed to charge specific to campaign events. So I put in an FEC complaint on him, actually, on my website, swalwellisdisqualified.com, and one of the people he paid to was this Brazilian nanny that, to me, it looked like she had overstayed her visa for 2 years, and he was using an illegal worker. So that's all been exposed. So there's more to come. Definitely Swalwell has a chance because he's appealing to this radical far-left voter base, and he figures if I get 15%, I'll be in the top two in the runoff, and once you're in the top two and you're a Democrat, you could win. So that's his strategy.
Well, I don't like it. And that could actually work out that way. I can't believe it. I don't think we've ever had, usually a superstar of some type becomes a governor. Jerry Brown, right? I mean, the guy had been around for, whatever. Even Gavin Newsom, mayor of San Francisco. Pete Wilson was a U.S. senator. Let's see, who the hell else? Ronald Reagan, of course, was a big shot.
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, some slouchy, not good congressman, a joke like him becoming governor. It's got to appall even Democrats. There are certain Democrats who are like, this can't be happening.
Well, look, he's lined up a lot of endorsements from all these labor unions, doctors, SEIU. Every day he's got some new endorsement. So I am very concerned that the fix might be in for him. We saw that the courts are fixed for him. The labor movement is in for him. And he thinks if I just keep up my far-left anti-Trump radical rhetoric, I'll get my 15% and I'll make it to the runoff. So it is a great concern. I think he's a total lunatic. He has no policies whatsoever. He's got no brains. He had an affair with a Chinese spy, for God's sakes, when he was on the Intelligence Committee. I uncovered some of his college writings where he was glorifying these cop killers, even though his father was a cop. I think that might be his underlying psychology. He's mad at his dad. But in college, he demanded that Leonard Peltier and Abu Jamal be freed. He called them political prisoners. He wrote some creepy poetry. So I think this guy's a mess. Even worse is that California has a $500 billion budget. And I looked up Swalwell's finances. When you look at his disclosures for Congress, he hasn't paid off his student debts. He still owes $100,000. He owes $100,000 in credit cards. He cashed out his pension. So this guy's like a financial mess and somehow thinks he can run a state. It can't happen.
Well, it can happen, but it's happening. That's just weird. Let me just ask you one more thing here. If it does happen, can they get him? Is this impeachable? I mean, he's violating the California state constitution. Is there any way you can impeach him on this crap?
Look, there's no question. There could be more legal challenges. I went to the Supreme Court of California. There are certain federal challenges you can do that have a very low chance of success. Certain people could do it. I really took it as far as I could without a lawyer. But he would be an illegitimate governor because he does not meet the California Constitution requirements of having a home in California for 5 years. His campaign worker put in this bogus declaration saying this little 1,300 square foot house where she lives with her husband, child, and dog, that she had rented it out to Swalwell. Now, I then provided the court with evidence that she takes a homestead exemption every year for $7,000 on that house, which requires her to live there. New York Post sent out a reporter, and they saw there's this dog, a German Shepherd, there's people in the house. They talked to the neighbors. They said they never saw Swalwell. And even Tom Steyer's campaign helped me out. They looked up Swalwell's visitations to his district. They found out every time he visited, he stayed in the Rose Hotel, this 5-star hotel. So the whole idea that he rents a house or rents a room is completely not true. And yes, I think he would be subject to being removed because he does not meet the criteria to become governor.
Hey, do me a favor. This is Gavin Newsom. I don't know this guy has lost his mind, and he confirmed it for anybody who wants to read his book. And there aren't a lot of people who do want to read his book. But there are some people who have to read his book, some people who have a chance to stop him politically, and I'm doing what I can. But do me a favor, his latest spectacle. Go ahead, Carlos.
The lawmakers overseeing this project, the two of them, they promised California taxpayers they'd
I barely hear her, but he's about to talk.
Lawmakers are leaving for spring break without doing so. I also asked for the Turner Construction main company working on the
No, brother, what a pain in the neck. Hold on.
Updates that are a matter of public record to just get a peek into the cost to get the receipts.
Long question.
This in August. The two lawmakers
Meanwhile, he's standing there. He's so in love with himself. He's like digging himself. You can tell he's so self-conscious and self-aware.
Once the project is complete in September of 2027, that's when you'll be a regular taxpayer and out of office. Do you think the public should have to wait that long?
All right, here we go.
No. And I think I've said that to you before, and so thank you for that update. I was not aware of that. So no. It's taxpayer dollars need to be transparent, period, full stop, not complicated. So, unless there's some security consideration, there's always exceptions. But
I'm just asking for the cost.
yeah, I don't think that would fall into that category. So,
Is this embarrassing?
All right, hold on.
You didn't approve the project, you'll never use it.
No, I get it. No, but it's look, as a taxpayer, I'm taxpayer and governor. And I'm reasonably, good taxpayer. So no, I think it's not. You're hardly. This is hardly an argumentative frame, and it's the least I think you deserve. So let me, as I said last time, and then I was told there was progress on this. Let me see what I can do to help influence this, because I cannot, in good conscience, support that decision on the basis of the facts you just laid out.
All right, so what we have here is a stuttering and stammering mess. The reporter was Ashley Zavala, says that she is still being stonewalled by state lawmakers on anything related to the billion-dollar taxpayer Capital Annex project. And this is, of course, nearly 6 months after Gavin Newsom said he was going to get her, that specific person, answers. Kevin Dalton, he's a superstar on social. That man right there cannot govern. He can't read. He literally, like that, there's something to that part about him not being able to read. So he is not good at governing. Anytime it gets specific like this, he's in trouble. Have you seen that before? He doesn't know how to govern.
Look, I got a couple of things to say on this. First of all, Newsom, to me, has always been like a young Joe Biden. He'll say anything with a straight face, no matter how ridiculous, and act like it's normal. But I'm seeing a phenomenon in Democrat cities and states. It happened in Chicago. It happened in New York, where you've got this radical mayor which was de Blasio, of course, and then Adams, and then in Chicago we had Lightfoot, and we said, oh, thank God, we're getting rid of this complete idiot, and we can improve Chicago, improve New York. And then the Democrats replaced that person with someone even more radical. And you're thinking, wow, I wish we had de Blasio back because it's so bad. So we could replace Newsom with, with Eric Swalwell, who's just this radical nut Bernie Sanders type of person with no ideology, with no principles, nothing. He talks about using the power of state to go after his enemies. He talks about getting revenge. He never follows the rules and the law himself. So that's my big concern is we're going to follow the model of Chicago and New York where they replace a bad mayor or a bad governor like Newsom with someone even worse.
All right. Well, you were amazing doing what you did and finding out what you found out. Joel Gilbert remains on the case, Highway 61ENT, highway61ent.com, ENT, or look him up on social, Joel Gilbert. We thank you so much. And you did it all. You got to the Supreme Court.
I sure did.
Without a lawyer. Good stuff, sir. Good stuff. And the fight is not over. Hey.
Thanks a lot.